we transition from Act 3, Revelations, to Act 4, Multiverse. Liu Kang and the gang escape from Ying Fortress as they see the dragon army marching. In order for Titan Shang Tsung to kill all life in this universe, the heroes estimate that the villains will need portals to transport the dragon army to other realms.
That the Lin Kuei won't aid us is unforgivable. Bihan has corrupted them totally.
Seriously? Titan Shang Tsung said he is going to wipe all life from the universe. Is that not enough of a reason to get the Lin Kuei to work with you? Even the worst of the worst Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are smart enough to put aside their differences. But no. Bihan has corrupted them totally. There is no way they are gonna help. Everyone there is definitely too evil.
This is but the opening battle in a longer war.
I don't know, man. There's only 3 more chapters left in this story. Count your blessings. Liu Kang worries that they won't have enough strength to fight Titan Shang Tsung's army. Then Shang Tsung, with his STR post, gets possessed by the audience and talks about the dumbass reasoning we got these 2 timelines.
My counterpart said that your battle with him ripped time's fabric, creating 2 timelines. But how do we know that it wasn't torn further? If there are 2 timelines, can't there be more?
Shang Tsung smirks.
We gather allies from across timelines, other titans, to build an overwhelming force.
Shut the fuck up, Katana. Sorry. I mean you no harm, princess. It's just that sentence gave me a brain aneurysm. Then Garrus starts mimicking Shang Tsung's STR pose and explains that while it might be possible to find more titans, they'll need the power of the Keeper of Time to do so, which Liu Kang relinquished. However,
Garrus's brow furrows deeply.
Garrus secretly kept this power within the Jade Jaguar given by the great Kung Lao. Fun fact. That's the same Jade Jaguar Aiden gave to Kunjin in MKX, and the same one in the MK Aftermath ending. Back in chapter 11, Liu Kang said he gave up his powers because he did not want to go mad like Kronika. But the truth is, Liu Kang wanted to live amongst the mortals and have a more normal life, and he couldn't do this as a titan. In some way, Liu Kang is similar to King Kano from Mortal Kombat Legends Snowblind. Both gave up the power of the hourglass to enjoy the simple pleasures of mortal life. Garrus kept this secret from Liu Kang because
the process of restoring your power is likely irreversible. Returning to the life you have now, a life you cherish, may be impossible.
And you did not want me tempted to make that sacrifice unless it was absolutely necessary.
Correct.
Garrus is such a bro. But why does Melina look super pissed here? And while we're here, let's break it down. Garrus was nothing but a mindless minion who worked for Kronika in MK11, so the glow up he got in this game was insanely high. Liu Kang repurposed him to basically become his butler. He's also one of the only other characters to have witnessed the events of MK11, so he's also a great character to ease MK11 fans into this new timeline. And my favorite detail about this character is that Kronika created Garrus to be an artificial construct, to be nothing more than a tool for her conquest. But Liu Kang allowed him to be more than that. He allowed him to be his own person. When Garrus kept the power of the Keeper of Time a secret from Liu Kang, he didn't do it for any tactical reasonings. He did it because he wanted Liu Kang to enjoy his life. Later on, Liu Kang will ask why Garrus didn't take the power for himself.
All along, you have had unfettered access to the power stored within. You could have taken it, become Keeper of Time, but chose not to. Why?
Because I have faith in your vision for this new era. I am content to be its guardian.
And keep in mind, this is the same Garrus from MK11, the same one who wanted to kill Liu Kang.
It's dangerous to let them live.
So the fact that he went from this to saying, I believe in your vision, Liu Kang, just shows how much he's grown as a character. Kronika treated Garrus like a tool, so she got a weapon. Liu Kang treated Garrus like a person, and so he got a friend.
In a billion lifetimes, you've never had family?
Liu Kang is the closest I've come.
Garrus does have a weird negative throughout the story though. He is completely not in the gameplay of the story mode. You never play as him, you never fight against him, and he's even never a Kamiya fighter. It's pretty bizarre. It reminds me of Quan Chi from MK vs DC. A very prominent character in the story, but isn't in the gameplay whatsoever. I have a theory that Garrus was supposed to be DLC. There are many examples of characters showing up in the story mode who aren't on the roster, but then later get added as DLC. And I think the same was supposed to happen to Garrus. However, midway through development, they realized that Garrus would probably not sell so well as a DLC. So they swapped Quan Chi and Ermac to become DLC instead. This would explain why both Quan Chi and Ermac have so many fights in the story, despite not being on the main roster. Liu Kang and Garrus going to retrieve the Jade Jaguar, while the rest of the group try to stop the Dragon Army. Now let me just skip through the next 2 minutes cause nothing really important happens here. We head to the gateway, where we see the portals all set up, and we also see Ricco doing zesty pose. Chapter 13. Shang Tsung.
New Deadly Alliance?
We see more multiverse versions of our beloved characters. Back in my chapter 11 video, remember when I said the roster lacked villains, and it got repetitive fighting the same characters over and over again? Well, this problem has been solved with the multiverse. Now you can fight all new versions of existing characters. That's triple the amount of villains on the roster now. Thanks NRS.
Thanks Elon!
But you see, this presents a new issue. Why yes, there's more variety with the bad guys now. I also don't give a rat's ass about any of these multiverse villains, except for Titan Shang Tsung, because we followed his story in MK Aftermath. The villains in Liu Kang's timeline are actual characters.
Kinda.
They have personalities and motivations, whereas these new ones don't have any. Why should I care for the well-being of Order of Darkness Smoke, when he doesn't even say a single line? Even villains like Nitara and Havik have more merit than any of these guys. And before anyone says, actually, no. Invasions mode is not the origin story for these characters. They wear the exact same outfits, but they are completely different characters. Now that they've introduced these multiverse variants, every fight from this point on is just like fighting mobs from an MMO. Just get through them all until you fight the final boss. In a Kane summary video for M1K, when he gets to this part of the story, he just completely skips it.
Lucky for me, this is my big break. I don't have to cover the story beat by beat after this. The story after this point is so horrible. But let's go ahead and start with the next chapter. I was bored out of my mind playing this for the first time. It's just fight after fight with the plot barely moving. If I just wanted to fight, I would play the arcade mode. So these portals that Shang Tsung shut off sever evil Shang Tsung's ties to the Onaga army or something like that. I don't know. They do something, I know that. To wrap up the chapter, we just fight Shang Tsung and some random evil fighters. There's this portal thing too there. It does stuff. We beat them and they run off. Yeah, just fight after fight after fight. I hated it. It took forever, bro.
And that's his entire summary of chapter 13 and 14. Fucking based. This is one of the big issues with poorly written multiverse stories. You can bring in all the funny wacky alternate variants you want, but if you don't take the time to write anything of substance for them, then why should I take the time to give a shit about them? Fucking hell. Injustice Gods Among Us did a better job at this. When it comes to most of the multiverse characters in that game, there's actually a dedication to differentiating them from their original counterparts, and making them feel like their own characters. It's not a good look for you Mortal Kombat, when I'm using the Injustice series as the positive example here.
Online we call that trolling.
One last thing I'd like to add. Since NRS is so committed to the multiverse plot, I feel like the variation system from MKX would work better here instead of the cameo system. Each variation can represent a different multiverse version of the character. You can have human reptile that can transform into a big lizard beast, or MKX lizardman reptile as a variation. Fucking hell. We could have had M1K reptile interact with MKX reptile. You guys suck at multiverse writing. Back on the battlefield, Johnny Cage uses his drone to spy on the Dragon Army. This drone is obviously a reference to Cassie's combat drone from MK11. By the way, Johnny, Kung Lao and Kenshi are all wearing their combat suit. I brought this up in the chapter 8 video, and it's still consistent here. Pay attention class. This will be important later on. Huai Liang conducts a plan. Destroy the portals to stall the Dragon Army from invading other realms. Raiden, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi will destroy the portals. Kenshi and King Jared will grind down the Dragon Army. and everyone else will attack their dark doubles.
An astute strategy.
Truly, I could not have devised a better one.
Give us actions, not words.
Okay.
Shang Tsung gives a haughty smirk.
Now I want to take some time to talk about this plan, because unlike Quan Chi's compliment,
An astute strategy.
it's actually a terrible plan. There is one fatal flaw with this strategy, and it's called the Dragon Army. The thousands of soldiers roaming around here, and your only countermeasure is for Kenshi and Jared to throw rocks at them. In fact, there's more emphasis on taking out their evil doubles in the plan, and the reason for that is because
If they're defeated, it will hopefully throw the Dragon Warriors into disarray.
hopefully, your plan hinges on the faith of Game of Thrones Season 8 logic. Which, now that I think about it, both franchises are owned by Warner Brothers. They share the same dumbass brain cells. Now, there is another reason why this plan is terrible. It's because it's desperate. It's a suicide mission. They are not here to defeat the Dragon Army. They are here to stall time for Liu Kang. Hence why it's a terrible plan. But it's still a terrible plan. The fate of the world hinges on 11 people. I'm glad Raiden and friends are finally here after 6 chapters. But where is everyone else? Where's Li Mei? Where's Baraka? What about Syzoth and Ashura? They were hanging out with the good guys since chapter 7. So what have they been doing for the last 6 chapters? The funniest character who isn't here is Tanya.
My ribs.
Like, weren't you just with the heroes? What could be more important than saving the world? In fact, I'd say the situation is desperate enough that you should get the villains of this universe to help. Shang and Quan are terrible people, but even they know they have to work with the heroes to save their world. I hate MK11 story mode, but at least the ending war was an actual war, with both sides bringing their armies full strength to unleash hell. And even then, there's an explanation as to why the entire world's strength isn't there. They are in a hurry to stop Kronika from activating the Doomsday device. Kronika's base is also in the Netherrealm, and everyone's favorite character Car on the Immortal Ferryman can only bring a finite amount of people on his ships. So I can understand why the entire world's military isn't in this battle. But in M1K, this is Earth. There is literally no reason why the entire world's military can't be here. Just do the thing Ronda Rousey Sonya Blade said and call it a GG.
Nuclear weapons.
Regardless, they go off on their terrible plan to stop the Dragon Army. Then we see Dark Shell, and yes, he's Khan in Titan Shang Tsung's universe, so this is Dark Khan.
Dark Khan.
Dark Khan.
Dark Khan gives his troops a motivational speech, and it reminds me of his speech in Annihilation.
It will be the end of all things.
You are witness to the dawning of mankind's final day!
Armageddon.
Greatest army in existence!
I find it very funny that Dark Khan is giving this emotional speech to a bunch of stone soldiers, and they actually shout and cheer back. The heroes begin their assault, and R.I.P. Kenshi. He got stabbed by his own katana. Someone at NRS should hire a person to just stare at Kenshi's katana in the story mode. You'd get paid a lot. I personally wanna believe that King Jared gave some tips to Kenshi about telekinesis, just like in the Midway timeline, when Ermac taught Kenshi the telekinetic slam. The attack commences. I'm impressed fans and daggers can cut through rocks. Raiden and the Deadly Alliance start to attack a portal. They're doing the thing.
I clap!
But they get interrupted by evil Kenshi and evil Ermac. So Shang Tsung and Quan Chi fight them. Also, Dark Kenshi uses that Sagaru katana in the cutscene, and then it turns into Sento during gameplay. The gateway stage is filled with gateways.
Oh shit.
But the main one to look at is the one in the center. While you fight, the portal will randomly show a different realm. There are 4 different outcomes you can see. In the game files, you can actually see the names of these realms, but do take this information with a grain of salt. You can see an infinite amount of soldiers going to invade what looks like Netherrealm. Good luck to the demons, I guess.
Demons?
There's also a dusk version of the stage, which you briefly see in the cutscene. And there is also an adorable Christmas version, with decorations all over the deactivated portals, and even cute buildings in the background. The Deadly Alliance win.
What is up with your eyes?
The trio destroy the portal, and move on to the next one.
Dark rain and dark smoke advance on them.
You what?
Dark rain and dark smoke advance on them.
Either do I.
The Deadly Alliance fight them, while Raiden works on the portal. Did Smoke just bitch slap Shang Tsung? Raiden saves their ass.
You're welcome, sorcerers. Is it me, or is that Raiden becoming insufferable?
You are not wrong, but it is tomorrow's problem.
The Deadly Alliance beat them, destroy portal number 2, and move on to the next one. Dark Khan ambushes them by climbing all the way to the top of a gateway, and Shang Tsung gets bitch slapped again. Dark Khan is also using his iconic hammer here. I don't think it needs to be said here, but the hammer is more superior than the axe. It actually baffles me that this hammer is still not a gear in the game yet. Currently there are only 2 ways you can use this hammer. The first method will be explained when we fight Dark Khan in just a bit. The second method is to play as Garrus, and use one of his brutalities.
And the 3 unite their magic against the Horned Menace.
Horned Menace is such an amazing nickname. Then the trio do the thing again onto Dark Khan.
Did you see that?
His life force is feeding the portal's energy.
We kill him. We close them permanently.
Is that how it works? Alright, you make a good point.
I like how Shang Tsung has to explain why they have to kill Dark Khan, and Raiden looks sad, but agrees. It reminds me of I think we're going to have to kill this guy meme. So they continue blasting Dark Khan.
You guys say Colorado!
Now the Deadly Alliance fight Fire and Ice. Fun fact. Based off of Invasions mode, this version of Scorpion is supposed to be Hanzo Hasashi, and not Kui Liang. Take all the crumbs you can get, Hanzo stands. They defeat them.
So much for Fire and Ice.
Lamau. Okay, you didn't need to stare that long. Fine. Thank you.
Raiden sneers as Shang Tsung and Quan Chi confidently stride forward.
Then the Deadly Alliance fight Dark Khan and Dark Ricco. Dark Khan is also using the hammer during gameplay too. As Shang Tsung, you can transform into Dark Khan and use the hammer for yourself. I'm gonna use this hammer one way or another.
Fine, I'll do it myself.
The Deadly Alliance defeat Dark Khan, and NRS just remembered that this is an R-rated game. So Shang Tsung brutally murders Dark Ricco.
28 stab wounds.
With a deep frown, he stands. His lips settle back into their usual smirk as Quan Chi raises his eyebrows.
Then we get our first and only soul suck in the game. And it looks weaker compared to the one in MK Aftermath. Even the one in the trailer looks better. I also didn't notice this on my first playthrough. That Quan Chi was helping on the side. How wholesome. Hey team. Didn't Kui Liang say to fight your own dark doubles? Well, Shang Tsung and Quan Chi just took out all of them. Thanks for nothing, guys.
Insufferable.
After Dark Khan's death, all the portals have stopped, trapping the dragon army in a thrill. Now they must help their friends fight the rest of the army. And that is chapter 13. Let's break it down. Shang Tsung. The villains in this game are either hot garbage, or just lackluster. So color me surprised when I see Shang Tsung depicted fantastically. His demeanor and crafty mannerism is super fun to watch. This version of Shang Tsung is also drastically different from the mighty soul stealer he used to be, due to Liu Kang nerfing him. He starts off as a pathetic snake oil salesman, then thanks to his benefactor's influence, starts quickly learning from his previous self. Though he has many differences compared to his previous counterparts, he created the serum Formalina, and is able to use it to infect others with Target. He learned shape-shifting without sucking someone's soul thanks to Size-Off. He not only uses magic when fighting, but he also uses alchemy skills in combat. It's as if this version of Shang Tsung, despite gaining the experience of his past self, is still trying to carve his own destiny, trying out new things for himself. And I think this fits him very well in this new universe. Also, out of all the villains, I felt like Shang Tsung was the only one that felt like a threat. Even though he never wins a fight against the heroes, he does still successfully progress the villain's plans. He cunningly infiltrates Sindel's courts, tricked Kitana to think that the Earthrealmers were planning to sabotage Melina, captured Tarkatans for experiments, forced Syzoth to become his jailer, convinced the Lin Kui to work with them, siphoned enough souls for the Dragon Army. A lot more successful milestones when compared to the other bad guys. Unfortunately, all this culminates to Moot after the benefactor betrays him. But by the end of it all, Shang Tsung does manage to get the last laugh. One last thing I want to compliment about Shang Tsung is the voice acting.
It couldn't be more potent.
Alan Lee does an amazing job of portraying the cunning sorcerer, and I honestly just want him to keep whispering into my ears.
Your soul is mine.
There's an amazing interview online where Alan Lee goes into detail about voicing Shang Tsung.
This interview, it has begun.
But there was one part of the interview that really shocked me. I always thought due to the success of Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa's portrayal of Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat 11, that NRS wanted to continue that success, and had Alan Lee try to mimic Tagawa's version of Shang Tsung. But the truth is actually the complete opposite.
And so how do you craft the voice? Was it working with the director? Was it?
In the audition, they didn't mention any past characters or like any past actors. They didn't give a reference, is what I'm trying to say. There was no mention of Carrie, but I was like, what if I did a Carrie Tagawa impression? And so I did it. They're like, oh, this is exactly what we want. Thank you.
It was Alan Lee who was the big fan of Tagawa's version of Shang Tsung.
Carrie Tagawa was already in MK11, and I was like, there's no beating that. He's the best. He's Shang Tsung.
He was the one who brought that over to M1K.
I grew up with the 1995 film, which was amazing. You know, I still watch it on occasion. But I think subconsciously, I started to do an impression of him way back when. If you start doing something and it's 1995 and you go up to like 2020, that's like 15
It's a lot of practice.
That's a lot of practice.
There are some pretty bad depictions of Shang Tsung.
Shang Tsung!
So everyone, say thank you to Mr. Lee for picking Absolute Cinema as inspiration.
Do you want to say anything to the fans, man?
Your soul is mine. No, I'm joking.
Also, Alan Lee is a Reptile fan.
I really liked whenever Reptile showed up, actually. Reptile was my main growing up, because he was just the cool ninja to me.
So he is objectively the best voice actor in this game. And while Tagawa's Shang Tsung will always hold a special place in my heart, Alan Lee's portrayal is nothing short of phenomenal.
Do you have any redeeming qualities?
You aren't impressed by my wit and charm.
I only have one criticism with this character, and it has nothing to do with him in the story mode. It's related to one move he has. Age Morph. Shang Tsung can instantly turn old and young. And the reason the developers did this is because...
So, you know, there's always a debate. Some people like him when he's an old man. Some people like him when he's young.
Right.
Why not both? At any time during a fight, Shang Tsung can morph into an old version.
Nice, cool.
Cool. But actually, no. This is kind of lame. In the old timeline, Shang Tsung was punished by the Elder Gods to age at an extreme rate. Hence why Shang Tsung had to soul suck to stay young. And this is why you see his depiction switch from old to young all the time. But in M1K, this lore is completely changed. He is an outworlder now. So he's going to live for a very long time.
I'm sorry, you're 10,000 years old? Oh, talk about aging gracefully.
He's not punished by the Elder Gods to age rapidly. And he barely soul sucks.
So what?
He only does it once in the story, and in one brutality. With all this in mind, I just don't think turning old really fits his character. And even from a gameplay perspective, I don't like how it's implemented. He gets different specials depending on his age. That's it? I feel like there should be more of a reason for the age play. Here's my wasted potential idea. Since NRS loves time travel shenanigans, let's say Shang Tsung got blasted by Geras.
Biden, blast!
And now his body changes to either his present self, or himself in the future. When he's young, his moves are faster and more agile. And when he's older, his moves are slower, but he can use more powerful spells due to having more knowledge and experience. But no, the difference between young and old Shang Tsung here is he goes from shooting horizontal fireballs to vertical ones. I guess in his old age, he gained the knowledge of the Y-axis. I think adding the age morph ability just as a reference kinda sucks, but everything else about Shang Tsung is fabulous. Although, I can't say the same about his partner. Let's break it down. Quan Chi. I think he's just kind of meh. He just feels like a lesser Shang Tsung. In fact, if you just replace every scene he's in with Shang Tsung, I don't think it would change the story much in the grand scheme of things. Overall, Quan Chi is just kinda fine. However, there is one thing about him I do love. His dynamic with Shang Tsung.
I had hoped our alliance would be more deadly.
All in good time, Shang Tsung.
Chapter 13 was bad, but watching these two chaotic partners wreak havoc together made it more bearable. I'm not really into random ships in the fandom, but watching the deadly alliance on screen together, these two evil bitches deserve each other.
Are we parting ways or remaining partners?
I haven't decided.
Now there's one last thing I want to go over for this awful chapter. I've given enough shit for Kuai Liang's terrible plan, but now I want to go over Titan Shang Tsung's even more terrible plan. So to reiterate, he wants to kill all life in this universe, then merge this world with his own. And how does he do this? Destroy planets Dragon Ball style, infects the world with a deadly virus, adds microtransaction to every video game and army. That's all. He gets the villains in Liu Kang's universe to give him a dragon army, and that's all he needs.
Sure.
Let's do some simple math. There are currently 8 billion people on Earth, and there are at least 4 elms in Liu Kang's timeline. So maybe there's over 30 billion people in this universe. 30 billion people versus one army. And that's not counting all the animals and bacteria. I hate how I have to keep using MK11 as the good example, but the doomsday device Kronika has is an hourglass that when activated, can restart history to the beginning of time. Now that's a world-ending threat worth worrying about, unlike some random stone soldiers. Okay, but there is some merit to the Dragon Army. In the old timeline, when Onaga was kind of outworld, he built the Dragon Army to combat outside threats. And what made this army a genuine threat is that whenever a soldier falls in battle, Onaga was able to revive the soldiers instantly, giving the illusion of an immortal army. And with this army, Onaga never lost a single battle. Alright then, if this is the same Dragon Army from the Midway timeline, then maybe they could be a threat to the world.
Okay.
They are not immortal, just plain ass soldiers.
He's just a boring ass soldier!
Fine. I'm sure this army is still kind of a threat if they can invade other realms. So our 11 heroes try to stop their advances.
He advances on.
But here's where things get crazy. Our 11 heroes. 1.
What?
They defeat the Dragon Army.
If Liu Kang is right, the battle in front of us is already lost.
You're finished. The Dragon Army's destroyed.
Once I regain control of the Dragon Army.
It's already been destroyed.
Somehow Kuai Liang's stupid ass plan actually worked.
I did it.
Did defeating their dark doubles actually work? Or did killing Dark Khan stop them? Regardless, after Dark Khan was killed, the heroes were still fighting the Dragon Army. So I guess they really just somehow took out thousands of stone soldiers. I need an off-screen scene where our heroes take out the army Dynasty Warriors style. I need King Jared and Kenshi to just casually wipe out hundreds of troops. Titan Shang Tsung's ultimate plan. Gathering multiple villains, activated the Soul Stealers for 4 chapters. Getting the Dragon Army took him 13 chapters to finally achieve all this. And they were taken out by 11 people.
Felled by a simple farmer.
This entire game was building up to these pathetic useless pebbles. I hope the $70 was worth it, guys. However, there is one silver lining to all of this. As bad as it is to have a plan that was set up for 90% of the story mode fail miserably, Titan Shang Tsung does have a plan B. And plan B is not a bad backup plan. And it kinda justifies Titan Shang Tsung's hubris for such a bad plan A. Kinda. Alan Lee also voiced Mystery from the Saja Boys, so you know I had to do this.
Thank you. We really feed off your energy.